Alright, so let me start off things by saying this is not a video that I am excited or take pleasure in making. I really don't take pleasure in making a lot of my rant videos, because a lot of the things I tend to rant on or display my dislike for are things that I genuinely either enjoy at one point, did enjoy. Most wrestling fans, or really any fans of any product that you consume, if they're ranting about something, it's something they're very passionate about. They may not like to admit it, or maybe sometimes they do, but they're very passionate about what they're watching, and that's why they rant, because they want it to get better, and they want to basically say what they're not liking about it in hopes that somebody will catch on, the right person will see it, and that it will no longer happen. They can go back to watching what they want to watch. That's all I want to do when it comes to my rant. I want to see these things that I don't like get better in some way. I don't want to see the companies go under. I don't want to see them go out of business. I don't even want to stop watching just because. I just want to see them get better. At some point, you do so many rants that you just kind of give up on a company, and you just stop watching in general. It's happened with TNA. That was really the first company I gave up on, like 2012. It's happened with Raw in 2015. Happened with SmackDown even earlier than that. And most recently, I gave up on NXT last year after Charlotte Flair won the NXT Championship, Women's Championship. And now I feel like I'm getting to that point with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, a lot of you guys who've been watching my content for any length of time, or really I would say for the last 2 or 3 years, you know I am a big fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, hell, I went all the way to Japan to go to Wrestle Kingdom 14 last year in January. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life. Not even just my wrestling, fandom, but like of my entire life. Going to Japan by myself, seeing all the Tokyo can offer in all these cities like Roppongi and Ota City, the experience is something I'll never forget. The wrestling was great as well. Phenomenal even. I saw Wrestle Kingdom. I got to see some DDT. I got to see some Stardom. I got to go to New Year Dash. It was just meant to be. Everything was perfect. And that was at a time where I was still very much enjoying the New Japan Pro Wrestling product. And I feel like I've given enough time, and enough time has gone by to really assess the situation right now and be like, has this company really improved? Has this company really given me enough to bite on and stay invested? And the answer to that question is no. My investment in New Japan Pro Wrestling is at its absolute lowest. I've in the 4 years, pretty much 4 years, I've been watching New Japan Pro Wrestling. My interest has never been any lower than it is right now in 2021. Here's the thing about New Japan Pro Wrestling right now. I kind of think of it like an iceberg, right? So when you see a picture of an iceberg, it's this really, really big, block of ice sticking out of the water. And you go up to it and you're like, whoa, that's a big, it's a big iceberg. It's a big stuff. And on this iceberg are the problems that fans point out with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And a lot of them are absolutely warranted. A lot of them I agree with. But that's the surface. If you go in the water, you'll notice that there's a lot more to the iceberg. Actually, the rest of the iceberg is under the water. And that's where the rest of the problems lie. But because you only can see what's on the surface, people don't acknowledge the rest of what New Japan the issues New Japan has right now. So they only talk about this much stuff when really there's this much wrong with New Japan right now. So I'm here to talk about what fans keep on saying and what else is wrong with New Japan right now. And why I've gotten to the point where even yesterday on my live stream, one of the people in my chat asked me if I was going to be watching New Japan Cup, streaming New Japan Cup Night 1, because I've been streaming a lot lately. I've been enjoying streaming a lot, which is why you guys notice I live stream a lot more on my channel. Someone asked me, will I be live streaming Night 1 New Japan Cup? And I said, well, it depends on what time in the morning it is, because after all, I do have to work. And if it's super early in the morning and I get little to no sleep, it better be worth it. So I went to check the Night 1 match card. I realized that the 2 leading matches on the show were Bad Luck Fale versus Toru Yano and Hiroki Goto versus Taichi. And I said, I'm not waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning to watch that, so no. Which is also one clear indication that my investment is low, because normally any big super fan will wake up early in the morning to watch any New Japan show. But I was very selective. I went and I said, if this card is not worth my time, I'm not streaming it. And I'm not. So then people asked, oh, are you going to be streaming the anniversary show that happened today? And I said, no, I'm not streaming the whole show, but I plan to stream the main event. Kota Ibushi versus El Desperado. And then at the very last minute before I went to sleep, I decided I'm not going to stream this show. I don't have any interest in watching this show. So I decided to cancel that live stream. And instead, in place of that live stream, we have this video. So without any further ado, let's actually get into a lot of the points that I feel like New Japan Pro Wrestling has just been unwatchable lately. I think one of the bigger points, and one of the more recent points, about why New Japan Pro Wrestling is in the rut that it's in right now is, of course, the situation with the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship. You guys all know by now, the championships have officially been merged. It is now officially the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, as both the Heavyweight and IC Championship are now unified. They are one. I think we're getting a new title belt very soon. Soon, both those championships will go non-existent. Their histories, their lineages will be stopped and basically all shut off after Kota Ibushi's reign today. And many fans hate this. You go online to their latest YouTube channel video regarding this, and the dislike ratio is astronomically powering over the like ratio. And the comment section explains it. I don't really see many fans. I don't really see any little fans even saying that they agree with this. The majority consensus is that fans don't like the fact that the championships are just being completely shut out and neglected. I mean, the IWGP Intercontinental Championship for the better part of a year and a half has just been a prop. It literally has been a prop. Where the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, we all know, is the main championship, so that's what people are really gunning for. The IC just kind of comes along with it. But now, you're not even going to acknowledge the Heavyweight Championship, which is a championship that was established back in the 70s. This is a championship that has really been made and bred this company. Some of the most top of the line guys in wrestling have held this championship, and now it's just going to be forgotten about in place of this new championship. And the question is why? Why are they getting rid of these two championships? It's like there's no answer. It seems like whenever we get this question come up, people scramble for the answer that's just non-existent. There is no reason why it has to be done. They're just doing it just to do it. And the first thing I really want to talk about here is Kota Ibushi, because a lot of you know I'm a humongous fan of Kota Ibushi. You can call me a Kota Ibushi stan if you want. I don't care. I'm a big Kota Ibushi fan. I've been a fan of Kota Ibushi since I really started watching New Japan. Even before I started watching New Japan, I was a big fan of Kota Ibushi. And the fact that this company has managed to turn most of the wrestling community against him is just really, really sad. And it's the way they've booked Kota Ibushi. I mean, just from the path he's gone on up until this point. I mean, let's go back here. Kota Ibushi went into G1 Climax 30, the former G1 Climax 29 winner. Many people didn't predict Kota Ibushi was going to win this year. He did. And many people were actually kind of shocked. Like, he's a two-time winner now? Like, wow. I remember being excited, but not as excited as last year because, you know, that was his first G1 Climax win. He's going on to wrestle Okada. It's a big moment, but it feels like we're going down the same path again. Like, I didn't really intend to have a repeat story, but you know what? I want to see my favorite wrestler actually finally win the championship. He was alluded to him last year, so I'm down for this. So, Kota Ibushi wins the G1 Climax. He hops into a feud with Jay White. Jay White wants to go after the contract, which makes the most sense because obviously Jay White is the top heel in the company. Jay White actually ends up defeating Kota Ibushi for the right to challenge Naito for the Heavyweight Championship and IC Championship at Wrestle Kingdom. I wasn't initially happy about it, but I'm like, you know what? They've never done this before. It's a change in pace. Okay, I'll take it. He says, I'll challenge you on the second night. I said, that's smart. Cool. Then, like a day later, Naito starts complaining that, oh, if I can't face Ibushi, then I'm not showing up because Ibushi did. And I'm like, but Ibushi lost. I understand Ibushi got cheated out of the situation, but Ibushi lost. he lost. He shouldn't be going back into this picture until he earned his way back into it. But even after Bushi lost the rights, he ends up getting inserted into the title picture anyway. So I don't feel like Ibushi really earned the right to be in that match because he lost the right. And like I said, he got cheated out of it, and I understand that. But he's no longer the briefcase holder. If you want to get true heat on Jay White, they would have just kept Kota Ibushi out of the equation. But they put him back in there, so it's like, well, okay, I'm rooting for Ibushi now, but it's like, I'm not as excited because it's like he already took an L. The L was already there, it's proceeding, now he's going into Wrestle Kingdom. We go into Wrestle Kingdom 14, he beats Naito night 1, I'm excited, I'm like, he's finally done it, he's finally won the Heavyweight Championship. We go into night 2, he's facing off against Jay White, the recipients of the same challenge, right, that now the new champion Kota Ibushi was holding at one point before he beat him. He's actually challenging him for the Heavyweight and IC Championship. And you call this great storytelling. It depends on what side of the spectrum you fall on and if this is great storytelling or weird booking. But I still believe that Ibushi and Jay White had a phenomenal match at Wrestle Kingdom despite how long it went. Phenomenal match, phenomenal storytelling. Kota Ibushi retained, and we got this almost crazy interesting arc with Jay White where after the show he's crying, he's all over the place, he's going borderline psychotic, and he's hinting at possibly leaving New Japan, and fans for a month are wondering like, oh my god, is he going to AEW, is he going to NXT? He was all silent on Twitter. New Japan wasn't saying anything about it. I mean, New Japan was actually kind of hinting that he might leave, which was a clear indicator that he wasn't going anywhere. But like, everybody's just debating like, what's going on with Jay White, what's going on with Jay White? And then, like, literally the same month, on the 31st, Jay White returns. And it's like, they could have dragged this out slightly more. But you know what? Whatever. But who does he return to attack? Not Ibushi. Not Naito. He attacks Tomohiro Ishii. He attacks Ishii. Like, what does Ishii have to do with him losing at Wrestle Kingdom? And they tried to make it as, oh, Ishii's that missing puzzle piece. He's the reason why I lost. Like, Ishii's not the reason you lost at the G1 Climax. Like, yes, Ishii beat you at the G1 Climax. I get that. But you won the briefcase anyway. You literally beat Kota Ibushi for the briefcase. Ishii didn't stop you from going to Wrestle Kingdom. You lost. You're a loser. You have nobody to blame but yourself, which is what he initially was doing. He was blaming himself, but then he came back and he put the blame on the wrong part. If he would have came back and blamed Ibushi, I would have took that, because it's like Ibushi beat him. But he came back and he started blaming somebody else who was completely inconsequential to the whole situation. So I'm like, that's just weird booking. Like, why is he feuding with Ishii? There's no reason for him to be feuding with Ishii other than, let's get another great match out of these two, which is another thing I really dislike about New Japan, that people just seem to always want to act like is completely fine because all the matches are great. But it's redundant matches and booking and story, and people will shape it as it's tremendous storytelling. It's great long-term storytelling. The New Japan is able to drag out these feuds for years and years and years. And yes, at times it is great storytelling. I'll give you Okada versus Naito. I thought that was a really great story that was told. Fact of the matter is, they could have done this exact same ending at 2 years prior, Wrestle Kingdom 12, but they didn't. New Japan Pro Wrestling is just the worst at doing new concepts. They hate doing new concepts. This is the company that will give you Naito versus Ibushi. Do you realize that Castle Attack was their 10th match? Their 10th match? They've been wrestling each other since, I think, 2013, and they've had 10 matches. Now, you would like to think to yourself, well, across 8 years having 10 matches doesn't sound as bad, but then you consider the fact of how many matches they've had since 2019. They had 3 matches in 2019. And then they had, I believe, if I'm correct here, I believe they have 1 in 2020. And then they had 2 this year, which will make it about, I believe, like 5 or 6 matches they had in the course of the last 2 years. They had 5 to 6 matches. That's ridiculous. This company will manage to find one feud, and they will run that feud to the ground They will run that feud from January 2020 to January 2022 if they have to. Because why? Because they don't want to start new feuds with other people. They want to actually keep them in this loop so that way they can actually keep on giving you these great, phenomenal matches that's going to keep you drawn in. Because they know fans have this attachment to 5-star classics. And if one match is a 5-star classic, then the next match will be a 5-star classic. If that's a 5-star classic, then the next one will be. It's an infinite loop that New Japan falls into. And you can say it's great storytelling, but I think it's borderline lazy. So then I think the next point people are going to want to go to is, oh, but Tyler, the COVID ruined everything for them. You know, it took the... I understand. COVID ruined it for everybody too. COVID messed New Japan up. They went basically almost silent and mute and had no shows for a solid 3 months. Yes, I get that. It was sad. And when they came back, I was beyond excited. However, at the same time, I realized that we were not going to get the same New Japan. We had a few no-crowd shows for the first New Japan shows, and we did not have a complete roster. They had to work with what they had. And guess what? I firmly believe that beginning period where New Japan came back to, like, basically Dominion were like the best period that New Japan had in like the last year, because they were forced to actually do different things. They didn't have the roster they had before. They had to get creative for once in their life. So they actually had to do different things. And when New Japan Cup finally came around, what did we get? We got actual openweight matches. We got Desperado versus Ishii. We got Hiromu Takahashi versus Toru Yano. We got Okada versus Taiji Ishimori. We got so many new combination of matches that without COVID, we would have never gotten. And it was exciting. It was interesting. And people were like, oh my God, maybe this is Hiromu's moment. Hiromu, he was out of getting his match with Naito because of the pandemic. The pandemic ruined that. Naito's still the champion. Hiromu's in the tournament. Maybe he'll win, but then Okada beats him, and it's like, well, that just ruins everything. Well, now we get to Evil versus Okada. Evil actually beats Okada. Evil turns heel. He joins the Bullet Club. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's like a whole new world we're getting into. Evil is not only joining the Bullet Club, but now he's basically the new leader of the Bullet Club because Jay White isn't there. Then you get to Dominion, which... then Evil actually beats Tetsuya Naito to become the new IWGP Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. And I and everybody else is just floored because it's like, I don't think I've ever seen this in New Japan's, the time I've watched New Japan, where they fast-tracked the guy to the main event scene, but it's like they had no top heels. They had no top heels. They were basically forced to do this. They had to. They had to create a new heel in Evil. And the intrigue was enough to keep me around, even though there were still a lot of problems with the company. The intrigue was enough to keep me around. But then really quickly, you start to realize that right when they started getting a lot of their guys back, and Evil was really only the champion from July to August. Though Evil was only champion for a month and a half. He got one successful defense out of Hiromu Takahashi, which was very different. But then he lost it back to Naito. And here's the thing with the booking malpractice again. From July to November, we had four Evil versus Tetsuya Naito matches. That was literally the sole feud for the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Championship for all of 2020. From the time the belts really came together in 2020, your feuds consisted of Naito versus what? Who would he first face off against at New Beginning? Who did Naito challenge? Kenta. Then you went into Naito versus Evil. And then you went straight into Wrestle Kingdom. Literally, Naito and Evil and Naito and Kenta were the only feuds he had in 2020. You think that doesn't sound lazy to you? I think so. But let me get back into my point here. So then we get into G1 Climax 30. Where now we actually got all the guys we wanted back. Jay White's back. Kenta's back. Juice is back. All the guys that we've been eluded from are actually coming back. And crowds are coming back soon. It's exciting. I can't wait. But then you start to realize that now that all their guys are back, they're going back to their old ways. And it didn't take very long. Did not take very long either. Because as soon as G1 Climax 30 started, the juniors were nowhere to be seen. It was only singles matches, which I didn't have an issue with initially, but no juniors at all. They were just completely tossed to the side. Like, thank you for actually helping us during the period of time where we didn't have these guys. Now scram. That was basically what they did to the juniors. And you figured, okay, G1 Climax, only singles matches, I can understand that. But are they going to incorporate the juniors back into the heavyweight division like they did before? The answer is no. They didn't care about the juniors after that. Because then, the Openweight Championship, which was supposed to always be the bridge between the heavyweight and the junior heavyweight, went back to just being the heavyweight championship. Because they didn't have an IC that was alone, standalone, and they didn't have the US champion because they never stripped Jon Moxley. So now it's the Never Championship that's being defended against heavyweights, and the junior heavyweights have to wait their turn until BOSJ, which ended up merging with the World Tag League, and you just had two tournaments running at the same time, which was the period of time when I really started to lose interest in New Japan. I didn't watch the World Tag League, and I cherry-picked the BOSJ, but that's me personally. Then, after that, you still don't get the junior heavyweights going back into that division. They don't even attempt to put the juniors back into the heavyweight division. So the juniors are being neglected. They're not giving you any new feuds with the heavyweight division. The tag division is sparingly okay. It was good up until after Dominion. Then it started to really fizzle out and became Taichi and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tanahashi and Ibushi, like, ongoing feud. And then they started feuding with the Bullet Club, which was fine. That was new and I enjoyed that, but that's still going on. It's almost like there's just this failure to adapt. We can talk all day about how New Japan was affected by COVID, but so was WWE, so was AEW, so was Stardom, so was All Japan, so was Noah, so was TJPW, so was DDT, so was Big Japan, so was Drag. Everybody was affected. It's this weird conception people have where New Japan was so gravely punished by the pandemic, as if there's no other company in this existence that also was affected by this. You guys need to stop with this idea that New Japan is just excused because they were affected. Everybody was affected. And guess what? They all, let me not say they all bounced back at the same level that they were, because most of them didn't. You could even say all of them didn't. But guess what? A lot of these companies still are getting the same viewership, still are getting relatively good viewership, and still have that same fan base that's very passionate about it. AEW, they've bounced back for the most part. WWE, they've bounced back for the most part. They're about to have fans back in the arenas very soon. DDT, they bounced back. Stardom bounced back. All these other companies have managed to bounce back, but New Japan just seems to be still struggling. Seems to be still struggling with this booking pattern where they don't know how to do different things. It's the repeats, and then it's the very questionable things that they do. It's the weird booking patterns that start to really make you question what's going on there. Don't cry, you look so wise. Don't cry, 'cause you're so right. But then people love to always talk about the nitpicky stuff. So if there's really two people in general that have gotten on my nerves this entire time, first it's Okada. Okada, I don't understand how he still has fans, because this guy, since Wrestle Kingdom 14, has fallen off the earth in terms of match quality. His matches have just sucked. He's dragged his feet the entire time. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say all of his matches were egregious, because he did have some good ones. Okada versus Shingo was good. And he had the Okada and Ospreay match, but that was this year. So he only had that one good match in 2020 with Shingo in G1 Climax 30 Day 13, which was the best show they had of 2020 in the COVID era, by the way, was the G1 Climax Day 13 show. But Okada, match quality wise, dragged his feet, did not perform in the way that he was supposed to, and then every excuse he got was, oh, but he gave the whole fans weren't there, so he's not motivated to. That's what I got from all the promos that he had, which is just so sad to hear that your top guy is so unmoved by there not being fans that he can't manage to bring himself to having good matches. That sounds very sad to me. Maybe I'll go watch another product that's a top guy who actually can perform with no crowd there. How about I do that? So I will give New Japan a lot of credit because they haven't really put Okada back into the heavyweight picture since he lost. That's all I ever wanted. But Okada's been dragging his feet ever since, and that bugs me. But then we get into the real like culprit. The Bullet Club. They have become almost borderline unwatchable now. It is completely, astronomically horrible just how much the Bullet Club relies on interferences every match to get them through to the finish. It's the same formula for almost everybody, and I hate it so much because Evil was really truly the one who got fucked over here. He may have actually won the heavyweight IC championship, but by God, they messed his character up completely. This guy was a damn good wrestler at one point, but as soon as he joined the Bullet Club, they stripped a lot of his moveset away and just gave him Dick Togo interferences in his place, which doesn't work. So Dick Togo interferes for Evil, Geto interferes for Jay White, Jado interferes for Gorillas of Destiny, Yujiro Takahashi interferes whenever he gets a chance to, Geto interferes for Yujiro Takahashi at times as well, Taiji Ishimori and what's the El Phantasmo, they don't really get interferences that much, but it still is there. When Fale is there, Fale gets in. Like, everybody, like, literally nobody in the Bullet Club is able to complete their match without involvement. And you can sit here and say, oh, but it's heel heat. No. Why does every heel need to resort to having some cheap shit happen in order for them to get through the end of the match? That is lazy. That is does AEW do that every single week, the Inner Circle? I'm sorry, I've seen plenty of MJF Chris Jericho matches where none of the guys from the Inner Circle actually interfered. What was it? Pride and Powerful versus the Young Bucks? I don't remember anybody interfering in that match aside from the Good Brothers, but they're not part of the Elites. Like, I could go in the WWE. A lot of the heels in there, they don't have a lot of interferences in their matches. Like, stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses for the Bullet Club. It's lazy booking. It's completely redundant and tedious of them to keep doing this for every person in the Bullet Club. Every match. They might have a few exceptions. We have a few matches where there's no interferences, but it does not outweigh the 90-10 matches where there actually is interference. It's old, and I love Jay White so much, and I think he's a great wrestler, but the fact that Geto is there almost all the time for his matches to interfere, and you get the spot where the people come in, they try to attack Geto, then Jay White wins, it's like you're ruining his matches. You're ruining Jay White's matches by doing this. They couldn't even do it at Wrestle Kingdom. Geto was there. They used him sparingly, but Geto was still there at Wrestle Kingdom. So Bullet Club gets on my nerves. Okada gets on my nerves. But then there's all this other booking stuff that people don't like to acknowledge. And then people still ask me, well, give it another. No, I'm not. I'm tired. I'm tired. I've given New Japan a lot of chances to get better. And you know what? With COVID, you're supposed to give them chances, right? They have to bounce back. Well, guess what? They got their roster back in September. It's March now. It's been 6 months. 6 months is long enough to get your booking in check, and they have not done that. Stardom just had their All-Star Dream Cinderella show. In my opinion, that was way better than Wrestle Kingdom this year. Both nights. That one show was better than both nights. So you know what I'm about to start doing? I'm about to just start watching a bunch of Stardom. I feel like going forward, until New Japan starts to shift, like, I'm not going to stop completely watching New Japan, because I'm not at that point yet, but I'm at the point where I don't feel like watching every show anymore. Like as far as the Road 2 shows, I stopped watching Road 2s a long ass time ago. But the anniversary show, I literally just skipped to the main event. Castle Attack, I skipped to the last 3 matches. Like, the New Japan Cup, I might not watch the next night because I'm not interested in the night at all. I'm interested in the Okada versus Shingo match, but I am assuming Okada's going to win that, so I might as well just lower my expectations right away. The New Japan Cup this year is also not star-studded. Like, it is star-studded, there's stars in there, but a lot of them are rematches. And a lot of the newer matches are not matches I'm particularly interested in. So it's like I have no reason to get interested in a cup this year. I predict Will Ospreay will win. If he does win, cool. We get Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. The fourth or fifth rematch they've had in their careers. Ospreay's a heel now, so it'll be different. But if Ospreay doesn't win, the next in line is probably Okada. And Okada versus Ibushi, they've had a few matches here already. And I don't want to see Okada win the heavyweight championship back. I'm sorry. If Okada wins the heavyweight championship back, I might just stop watching New Japan in general, because Okada has not really given me a reason to care about his character in the last 2 years. Now, Okada might get the championship back and actually start trying again, but I feel like you shouldn't have had to get your championship back to actually be great again. I feel like you shouldn't have had to done that. But listen, I know a lot of you are probably upset by this, that I've all but given up on New Japan, and you know what? I'm upset by it too. I didn't want to just give up on New Japan. I didn't want to just stop watching New Japan. I really just fell into this. And it's all their fault. It's really all their fault. They've had many chances to improve with the way they position their show, but they just hasn't. They just hasn't. I want to really badly say a lot of it is personal stuff. Like, oh, I got my channel deleted by them. But that was last year, bro. I'm a little over that. I mean, I'm not over completely. I still haven't forgot what TBSI has done to me. But I'm a little over letting what happened to me negate how I feel about this promotion. How I feel about this promotion now is completely how I see this promotion as a fan. And as a fan, it's not good. It's not good. And until they get good, I have no interest in watching really any of their shows. I'll cherry pick a few matches. As far as sitting through these 30 to 40 minute long main events, which we get every month that start to feel the same now, I'm over that. I'm over that. When it gets better, you guys let me know and I'll tune back in. But until then, I ain't watching it. I'm just not. I'm over it. I'm over it. Stardom had one of the best shows of the year. So I think Stardom deserves my time. So until New Japan gets better, I'll start reviewing Stardom a lot more on this channel. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. And in the time I'm not watching New Japan, I guess I'll just start watching other promotions too. I want to get interested in Noah. I want to start diving my butt into DDT and TJPW. There's avenues that I can start exploring now, because when I'm not invested in like one promotion, I flock to another promotion that I'm not interested in. So I want you guys to comment down below. What should I be watching right now? Should I be checking out, I don't know, GCW? Should I be checking out NXT, which I've given up on a long time ago? I know they're moving to Tuesdays, so that piques my interest a little bit. They're actually going to be on a different day now. Maybe try a bit harder now that they don't have competition, direct competition at least. What should I start checking out? I'm open to ideas. Comment down below, let your boy know. I'm out of here. I will see you guys later. Ran over. Peace.
You will hate yourself when